Hi guys, Scott Woodward with you to preview the Brisbane Broncos for 2014. Now look, normally when a team has finished 12th in the previous season and they've lost three of their key spine players in Corey Norman, Peter Wallace and Scott Prince, plus their most talented player, Justin Hodges, is injured and will miss the first part of the season, you'd have to think that it's going to be a strip-out season for the Broncos in 2014. But one guy, Ben Barba, certainly changes all that. And providing that they can find a number 6 in the side, and Justin Hodges comes back midway through the season in reasonably good form, I assume he'll miss State of Origin, certainly State of Origin 1. The Broncos certainly should play semi-final football, given the talent that they have on their list, the ideal forward pack, and clearly Ben Barba is just an absolute superstar, and he will give them something that they haven't had in previous seasons. Just recapping on last year, they played 24 games for 10 wins at a 41.6% strike rate. given their list, given the quality of the list and so many rep plays they had, that's just simply not good enough. And coach Anthony Griffin certainly would be a worried man coming into this season, with the likelihood that Wayne Bennett could be replacing him the following season. He needs to have some very big wins really early in this season if he wants to hang on to his job, not just this season but next season as well. It remains to be seen if he can do that. I haven't been impressed with some of his key decisions that he made. Getting his 6 and 7 right last year and the previous year was always going to be a big challenge for him. I think he stuffed up on both seasons. At least they've bitten the bullet and they've gotten rid of the dead wood, and they've got an opportunity to put in some young blood. And obviously Ben Barba, who's literally fell in their lap, and I can't give the recruitment department any credit for that. He actually signed himself. So, but you know, they did sign him, so he's a massive plus. Just quickly on their recruitment, I think their recruitment has been a disgrace. I've already mentioned that I think they're lucky to get Ben Barba, but to sign guys like Stuart Mills, Todd, Lowrie, Daniel Vidot, and Marmon Barba as their key off-season recruits, just tells me that the guys haven't got much idea what they're doing. None of those guys are dinky-die starters in first grade, in my opinion. So they're going to have to make do with the team that went around last year, plus the young juniors coming through. And we're going to talk about some of those guys in a second. One of the biggest problems that they had last year was State of Origin, managing State of Origin. It's always been a challenge for the Broncos, and last year was no different. Look, they know it's going to happen, and they need to plan for it, and they need to know that it's going to be tough. But their succession planning was just not evident last year. From rounds 8 to 18 last year, the Broncos only won 2 games. Now, that's just disgraceful. Look, I understand it's very taxing, but a lot of the other good teams handled it a lot better than that. Melbourne Storm, nobody suffers through State of Origin more than the Melbourne Storm, and they managed to go okay during that period, even though it is a challenging period also for them. The other main problem that was with the Broncos last year, and this is a direct reflection on the coach, is the fact that they missed 415 tackles during the season, and that was the worst performance by any team in the NRL. Now, you know, I put down missed tackles as a clear reflection on how good the coach is, because it's all about attitude. It's not so much about technique. They can teach technique, but it's the coach getting the attitude right in the players. And I'll draw your attention to the Roosters and what the Roosters coach did when he came in and coached the Roosters last year. He turned them into a team that weren't good defenders into just a brilliant defensive side last year. And that's what a good coach does. And that didn't happen with the Broncos last year. Extremely disappointed in their defence, but more so their line defence. They let in a lot of soft tries on their line that's when they need to be desperate, and that's when they need to get the attitude right. And that wasn't evident last year. Very disappointing in that attitude. I want to talk about Hodges, because he's out injured at the moment and missed the Kangaroo tour because of that. We're not sure when he'll be back. He certainly won't be back in the first month of the NRL, and he may not come back until the second half of the season. But when he comes back, look, he normally plays on the right side in the centres, and he plays there. But, you know, quite frankly, he's the most God-given talented player in their list, and he just doesn't get his hands on the ball enough. And given the the extreme circumstances they have with their spine at the moment, and the fact that they don't really have a number 6 putting their hand up and saying, I want it, I certainly would be playing Justin Hodges at 6. It just gives him an opportunity to get his hands on the ball more. It'd be very dangerous. The opposition wouldn't know what he was doing. He'll certainly either make half a bust or half a break, and he'll probably offload to guys like Ben Barba coming through. And you just have to get a guy like that, the ball in his hands. That hasn't been happening when he's in the centres. He's much easier to mark up on, similar to when Greg Inglis plays in the centres. And when Greg Inglis went to fullback, he's a much more valuable player. And I'm sure Hodges would be also if he played 6. But look, I don't think that will happen. I'm sure they'll slot him back into the centre position like they normally do. That's normally what happens with players like that. Let's have a quick look at the team that I think we will see for 2014. Clearly, Ben Barba is one of the gun fullbacks in the world, and he has to be fullback. He will come in and he will give them an opportunity to score length of the field tries. He'll make tackle breaks, he'll make line breaks, and he'll also create a lot of try assists. And he'll be a very big danger from that position. They're in great shape there. They've also got another very good fullback in Jay Hoffman, and as good a fullback as he is, I think he's a superstar winger. And I appreciate that wingers aren't as valuable as fullbacks, but Jay Hoffman is an unbelievable finisher. He times his run really well at fullback, and he may very well become a very good centre at some stage if he can get his defence right in that area. But he's an outstanding winger, and to have Ben Barba and Jay Hoffman both on that left-hand side, that would be very dangerous for the Broncos as far as I'm concerned. Jake Reid will be the centre on the left side. I have to say I've been very disappointed with him in the last 12 months, but he signed on long-term for the Broncos, so he's going to be there, so we have to put him into the side. While Justin Hodges is not available, I would think that young Corey Oates, who has a wonderful future and may very well end up in the forwards, but I think he will take on that right centre position. He went terrific last year, a very promising young kid. Very interested to see how Jharal Yow Yeh comes back from injury. He's also a potential to play in the centres and obviously can play on the wing as well, where he played State of Origin and also in the Australian side. But he's suffered an enormous amount of injuries and had several operations, and we just don't know if he will come back to first grade standard. He's hoping he's an outstanding young kid, Jharal Yow Yeh. We've talked about Justin Hodges when he comes back. I hope they don't try and bring him back too early, because you feel that one more breakdown and that will be the end of Hodges. I don't think we'll see him again. He's getting on and he just keeps breaking down all the time. So I would like him to come back, and I'd like him to come back and focus on the 6th position. I think that would be great for the Broncos. On the other wing, look, I think it'll be Dale Copley. He got injured last year and he went terrific before he got injured. He's a good presence. He's good with the bomb. He's quite good in defence, and he's a good finisher, and he's a big, robust type runner. Their other recruitment, Daniel Vidot. I'm not a fan of Daniel Vidot's. I don't think he's a good defender. He's terrible with a bomb. He just has very, very bad hands. He's a very good runner of the ball and can bust tackles and all that. I think off the bench as a pinch hitter, even running into the forwards, he could be valuable. But he's not a starting player for mine. He just has too many mistakes in him. And coming into a team like the Brisbane Broncos, who already have a track record for making a lot of mistakes and making a lot of missed tackles, you certainly don't want to add to that with a guy like Daniel Vidot. He's not a rocket scientist when it comes to rugby league footballers. The crucial number 6 position, and this is going to test the coach, and this could make or break his season. The very promising Jordan Kahu looks like he'll be the starting 6, and he played that position a lot as a junior, and he's probably entitled to get a crack. My feeling is that Ashley Taylor would have been the guy who would have been the first crack there, but he suffered an injury, and we may not even see him for the rest of the season, which is a shame, because he was very promising, Taylor. The other chances for that position are Zack, Strasser, who's also very promising, and also Cam Cullen, another promising guys. Now, look, I would like to think that one of those guys, if they don't make it as the 6, to partner Ben Hunt, I would think that one of those guys could probably put a little bit of pressure on Andrew McCullough for the number 9 position. Bronco fans seem to love McCullough. He's got a high work rate, makes a lot of tackles, and he's a very good club man. But let me tell you, he's very predictable. He telegraphs his passes, his dummy pass, and he doesn't scare too many people. He's a worker, yeah, sure. But look, I think from the number 9, you need a little bit more than that. And maybe Strasser or Cullen or even Ashley Taylor, when he comes back, could be that guy who could mould into the successor for Andrew McCullough. But let me say, if the mail is right and Cam Smith becomes a Bronco next year, it all doesn't matter too much, because that'll be done and dusted. We've talked about Ben Hunt. I think he had a very good season last year. I've always thought he should have been the starting fullback for the Broncos over the last 3 years, and they kept playing him off the bench all the time and playing other guys in front of him. And now all those other guys are gone, and Ben is finally going to get the chance to cement his position as the halfback for the Broncos. Now while I don't think he's a superstar, and I don't think he'll ever play State of Origin, I think he's a very, very good halfback. Now, I'm not quite sure if very, very good is good enough in such an important position, and arguably the most important position in the team. But when you've got incredible players like Ben Barba at 1, and you're going to potentially have Cam Smith at 9 next year, and also you may very well have the Raiders fullback coming in the number 6 next year, it probably doesn't matter. Ben Hunt will probably complement that very nicely. So I don't think it's a problem for the Broncos moving forward. And he certainly is worthy of the starting position there. Look, the forwards don't change that much. They've got quite a few to choose from. Ben Hunt will probably be one of them. I'm not a massive Ben Hunt fan, but he's an okay prop. He does his job. Josh McGuire is a guy that I have a high regard for. He's got a high work rate, he's tough, and he has some skills, and I'd like to see him start. He has the opportunity to play good minutes, and I think he's a potential long-term State of Origin player once he cracks it in there on a regular basis. So Ben Hunt and Josh McGuire would be my starting props. Sam Thaiday and Alex Glenn. Alex Glenn will toss it up for Matt Gillett for that other back row position, and Corey Parker, certainly their best forward, been made co-captain, and rightly so. That should have happened 2 years ago. He's always been the leader in the forward pack as far as I'm concerned, and a very good selection. He's been in absolutely outstanding form. He just gets better with age, Corey Parker, and they'll certainly miss him come State of Origin time. Look, it's an ordinary-looking bench that we have for the Broncos. Either Alex Glenn or Matt Gillett will be on the bench, so that's one good player that they'll have. But then you look at guys like David Stagg, Todd Lowrie, and Martin Kennedy coming off the bench, and it doesn't really excite me. Look, it's not something that I'm going to go, oh, okay, we've got some good guys coming off the bench. So the good thing is I think a lot of their forwards will play big minutes. Corey Parker, Alex Glenn, Thaiday, McGuire, McCullough, Ben Hannant, they're all capable of playing big minutes. So the bench probably isn't going to be that crucial. And maybe one of these guys like Strasser or even Cam Cullen or Ashley Taylor, when he's fit, can come off the bench and add a little bit of a spark. I don't see any spark there on that bench. But look, overall, I think the Broncos will do better than they went last year. A very, very disappointing 12th, which is unlike the Broncos given the quality of their list and given the quality of their history and reputation. I think the reason why I think they'll go better than 12th, I can put it down in one word: Barba. He's a true, genuine superstar of world football, and despite his personal troubles, I actually thought he went okay when he actually played those few games that he played last year. And while he's got some demons and he can do some silly things and he can make some silly statements and do some silly things off the field, there's no questioning his football talent. And I know he's only one guy, but one guy can make a monumental difference. And maybe Ben Barba is the first guy I've seen come into the Broncos side since the great Darren Lockyer retired. And I'm not suggesting that Ben Barba is a Darren Lockyer, but I'm suggesting that he potentially could be one day, and he's the blood that they need. So, look, it's all looking good for the Broncos. I think they'll have quite a good season, and I think they can play semi-final football, but certainly fans of the Broncos should be getting very excited about 2015. and that's when they'll nearly be winning the competition and nearly be favoured already if we're doing a market. That's providing that they get the players expected and who are rumoured to be signed to the Broncos over the next 6 months or so. So, look, here it is for the Broncos over 2014. A good season. I think they'll play semi-final football. Fingers crossed that nothing happens to Ben Barba. Cheers.